Welcome to another training with My Easy Schedule. Today we're going to focus on the 5-minute manager. What is the 5-minute manager, you ask? 5-minute manager is a quick, easy way for you to navigate easy schedule in the key important areas. We might touch on a couple of other points as we're talking about these 5 areas, but here are the main areas we want you to look at. Number one thing we want you to look at is the main dashboard view. To get to the dashboard view, you go, here's all the stores, you go to the budgets and you choose the date that you want. So we're going to choose 6/23/03. To edit the budget, you'd go here and you're able to edit all the categories. Here you see when you click the edit button, here's all the departments. If you wanted to change the number even after it's published, you can change this total and you can see all the allocations of wages. You can choose where you want to, like cashiers. If you want to change it to total store budget, you can do it from here or to any other areas. If you had a floor department here in produce, and this belongs to produce, sales does, and the wages, so you can create that right here. But for this video, we're just going to leave things as they are. So if you click on the edit button, it'll bring you to the screen, which allows you to edit any one of these fields, your distributions, and so on and so forth. For the purposes of this video, we're going to click on this. If you click on the date of the budget, it'll bring you to a dashboard view, and we will click on it. Here's what the dashboard view will show you. Your departments, wage allocation. It gives you a total of what your budgeted distribution percentages is, projected. This always should equal unless you change that, and what your actual was. So in this case, grocery was budgeted for 64.05, but it came in at 63.63. So that's very, very close. And same things here on the other departments. Totals here, actual might be off a little bit just because of some of the rounding issues, but it's still close to 100%. Budgeted sales, it'll tell you what you budgeted for, what you actually did. This is when the sales upload is working. Currently, sales are uploading for those stores who have been purposed to do that. So in the meat market, they were scheduled to do this, but they only did that. So store total budget was 93,000, and this actual came in at 91,190. All in all, we would say that's pretty good overall sales and projection. Budgeted labor dollars, this is what he budgeted. Kind of missed it there a little bit. And we can see that in his actual labor percent. So budgeted labor percent for the store was 8.47. This might have been a slow week and came in actually at 10.61. So that gives you a good idea of what your store is doing. This should take you about 5 minutes, and you might not, in your 5-minute view, that you might just look on sales, actual sales, opposed to budget, and what your labor percent is running. That gives you a pretty good indication of where you're at. So your number one area is to get a quick glimpse of the dashboard view. Number two item we recommend is viewing overtime. So when you click this, screen should pop up showing you your overtime for that week, that day, and it is by the week. You can change this to a day if you to the date that you like for the week that you're currently in, and you can choose what department. If you have a particular department that you're looking at, let's say it's a meat market, when you purpose that, it'll show you all the people that are in the meat department and how they're trending. So if we look at Rebecca Adams, this fictitious employee, she was scheduled for 7 hours here. She only worked 5.4. That's why you don't see her in red here. So she's trending good for the week. All we want you to do is kind of pay attention on a daily basis to look at who's in red and how many minutes they're over. So if you start at the beginning of the week, gives you an opportunity to get rid of these minutes that they're over by asking them to come in a little later, go home a little earlier, take a longer lunch, take a long break, so we can get the minutes under control at the beginning of the week. By Wednesday, you have still 3 days to get the number of minutes off of there. So plan ahead and plan to get the minutes under control. So if you teach each one of your department heads to go look at this, which is the overtime view, gives you a good representation. So how we read this is on Amanda Edwards was supposed to work 8.5 hours. This is her scheduled hours. She actually worked 9.40, not 1 hour and 10 minutes over. So that made it a total of 9 hours and 40 minutes. This red shadow, the highlight, is sensitive to the minute. So if she would have worked 8 hours and 31 minutes, it would have showed up in red at this point. And what this also shows is she was scheduled for 40 hours and she's trending the way she's going. She's going to be 2 hours and 39 minutes over. And you have to get those 2 hours and 2 hours and 39 minutes off before she reaches the end of the week. So what we want to do is try to control overtime, and that's the number two item on our list of things that we have to do. Number one was dashboard. Number two is overtime. The third area we're interested in looking at on a daily basis is view coverage. So you click here, and that'll bring you up to the coverage. Coverage just tells you how many employees are scheduled for that day, so it is date specific. You can see how many employees are scheduled, from what time to what time you have the schedule written for, and it'll tell you how many people are available. The darker the color means there are more employees scheduled for that time period. Now, this is not the people that are on the clock. This is a color chart showing you what your schedule looks like for the day. So we encourage store managers before the beginning of the day to go look at this, or maybe at the first of the week, and you might see some deficiencies. We see a couple here. There's no one scheduled in produce department at all. There's no one scheduled for managers. So this should throw you, it's either by design, this is a slow day and one of the grocery or cashiers are going to take this over to where somebody covers the produce department, or you just missed a whole schedule for that day. So you want to make sure you look at this coverage, make sure you're covered from the time you're open to the time you're closed. And another thing we like to what have you do is go and look at the number of employees you have scheduled. You know, traditionally between 1 and 4, we're really slow in the stores. We want to make sure you look at your schedule, make sure it is intentional that you have this number of people on schedule at this time so that you're able to make sure that you're covered. And if it's too much covered, it gives you an opportunity to get it off the schedule. The fourth area that we want to make sure that we looked at is view the pending time off request. We think this is a very important area of our operation. This allows us to address employees that are taking their time to go on to the program and giving you time off requests. It's really requested that we look at these and address these, because as soon as we show attention to an intent for the employees to request time off, they'll have more faith in us as we go through to make sure that we address their concerns, and if it's vacation, we give them the vacation, and once you approve it, the employee will receive notification. And also, let's say for this time period, vacation is requested by Greg. Then once you approve it, the schedule will be blocked off for that time frame. You can be asked, you know, 60 days in advance, a week in advance, a year in advance. So it should be our responsibility to make sure that we take care of pending time off requests. That should be a high priority as we go through the week, the day. So It's a real simple thing. Sometimes you won't have any requests at all, so I would just not even look at that. But when you do see the looks for this number out here, we need to make sure that we take time to address that. And the last area we want to make sure is you go to schedules, the current week schedule. You want to make sure that we're looking at some key areas of the schedule. We're calling this managing the right side. Managing the right side means here are your sales projection, here's your target labor percent, telling you how many hours or how many dollars you can spend for labor, and based on your sales per man hour, how many hours you can spend to write the schedule for doing this many dollars. So basically it's saying it takes you 132 hours with all the employees you got planned here to run $19,800. So as you're writing the schedule, this is totaling up over here. So in this instance, this is a very good representation of what the week could look like. So it's saying the schedule that's written over here, it's written for 130 hours, 130.50 hours. Scheduled labor dollars based on the number of hours is $1,512. And we said you can have 1,514 hours. And your labor rate, average hourly rate, is 11.59. Labor percent is 7.64. Look how close that is. And scheduled sales per man hour. It's the schedule that you've written, 151 hours, $151.72, and we said you got to be at 150. So this is a very productive week for the store. And this right here is actual sales from your front end system that's pulled in automatically by our program, telling you for this week you budgeted $19,800, but you only did $17,427. Actual hours was trending really well because this is a well managed department. You only used 109 hours. Your labor dollars were 1362. Scheduled rate is 1241. Labor percent is this, and your actual sales per man hours actually higher. And this right here is, as we call it, where the rubber meets the road. So your sales variance is $2,300. So what that's saying is what we budgeted to actual was $2,300 into the negative. Your hours variance was 20.76. Labor dollar variance was 149. Rate variance was 0.82. And the labor percent and your sales per man hour variance. So this is very, very good because as the week went on, we didn't let the hours get out of control. So if you manage the hours and manage your sales on a daily basis and you pay attention to this, your department should come in on track to your budgeted numbers. And another thing we like to focus on is on your 5 minute manager. As you're managing the right sides, you go and look at what your scheduled versus actual looks like on a daily basis. This gives you a very good indication what you need to do. So if you manage it on a daily basis, you're scheduled for 20 hours here, but you actually work 22.11. Could be a lot of things that happened there. You might have had a customer that came in late. You might have had a special order, or the people just weren't paying attention. They were too busy doing other things. So, but on Monday, the store made up the difference. So they took a little bit off of that, shaved a little bit off of that 2.11 hours that they were over. So they were able to take a little off here, a little off here. As towards the end of the week, they were scheduled for 130 hours. The actual hours came in that. So if you manage this on a daily basis and never be over that scheduled hours to your actual, if you make it a point to make that a point of your goal and try to bring it under. So this store was under 20.76 hours. It's very, very well managed, well ran department. So to recap, number one thing we have to do, So here is a handout that we hand out at our training session. Number one thing we have to do is look at your dashboard view. Dashboard view for your budget tells you how you're trending for the week. Number two is you got to make sure you manage your overtime. Number two item on your list. Number three on your list is to view coverage. Viewing coverage tells you how many employees you scheduled in all your departments for that day so that you can make sure your total store is completely covered, and if it's overly covered, then you can take care of that issue right then and there. Number four is managing time off requests. So you want to make sure if an employee's got time off that they've requested. This might be just once a week deal, but we want to make sure that we take good care of our employees and give them the time that's requested. And the fifth area is to make sure that you're managing your right side. Managing your right side means all your numbers, what you're budgeted, to your labor dollars, labor sales for number of hours from sales for man hour, what you're scheduled, your actual, and gives you the variance here. If you're able to manage this, plus you view your daily department schedule versus actual hours, we will tell you you're on track to running a great store and having a great week. So if you learn how to manage the right side of this schedule, then you're able to get to your primary goal, which is having a productive department. And if every department within your store were as good as this department managing its 5 minute manager, you will be able to have a very productive store. To reach your dashboard view, you can go to stores, departments, employees, budgets. Any one of these will give you this dashboard view. And this dashboard view is where primarily all of our numbers that we were talking about, except for budgets. On the budgets, you go to the budgets and choose the date from the right hand side. That gives you a dashboard view of the trending week. I hope this video is very helpful, and we'll post it up onto our website so that you're able to watch it, so you can take great advantage of the opportunities and the tools that's offered by My Easy Schedule. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.